my name is Lydia, and today I want to talk about my reading journal. So, I've tried to keep a reading journal for multiple years, and I tend to always fall off after a month or two. This is the first year that I have been consistently updating every single month, sometimes more than once a month. And I feel like I finally have found the style of journaling that's really working for me. A lot of the upkeep and the standard spreads that you find in most reading journals were just really not working for me. I'm someone with ADHD and I also travel a lot for my work. So there were so many months where I didn't have time to update and things would just start to pile up and it would really feel overwhelming. And with that ADHD brain, that paralysis of actually getting started and getting things done was really difficult to overcome. I was super disappointed because last year I spent so much time setting up my reading journal and it just didn't work out for me. So this year I really sat back, reflected, and thought a lot about what would be practical for me to fill out only once a month and something that would be sustainable. So even if I did get behind, I would be able to come back and fill it out pretty easily. Also, reading is not my only hobby. I also like movies, TV shows, playing video games. So I wanted to try to focus on taking all of my interest and put it into one journal. So in a way, this isn't really a reading journal. It might be more of a hobby journal. You're going to see a lot of challenges spreads, a lot of spreads that are really just tracking statistics, and a lot of non-bookish spreads. I think if you're like me and you really struggle with doing book reviews for every single book you read, some of these ideas might be useful to you. So yeah, let's get into it. So this is my journal. This is the Tsuki Moonflower Magic Notebook by Notebook Therapy. I got it in their original size. I think for next year, I'm going to update to their A5 size. I think a little bit of extra space and some extra pages would have been really beneficial. But overall, I love their notebooks and their quality, so I definitely want to stick with Notebook Therapy. So let's get into it. Our first spread here is the index. So I have all of my different spreads listed out on here. They're in order. Unfortunately, this doesn't have numbered pages, so I just kind of have them listed. It helps me find things if I get myself a little lost because there are a lot of spreads in here, as you shall see. My plan for this flip through is to fill this out for the month of May, kind of as we go along. So you'll get an idea of what it's like to fill out at the end of the month. This is my book tracker page. This page, I do have all of the markers I used on it color coded, as well as a number assigned to them because each book I fill in is a star rating for that book. I'm just going to pull up my story graph and start filling this out.
I drew out the artwork for this spread on my iPad using Procreate. From there, I printed it out on sticker paper and just slapped that sticker paper directly onto the page. I'm definitely someone who's more comfortable drawing something this intricate digitally. I had tried to sketch it out on the page and wasn't super loving what I came up with, so taking it digitally, doing it there, I was able to edit it a lot better and duplicate the books a lot easier. So I really like how it turned out as far as that goes. For this tracker, I included 100 books, so there's 50 on each page. I've already read 70 this year, so I think I'm definitely going to hit that 100 goal. Last year, I think I read 101 books, so I might kind of pass it this year if I keep up reading the amount that I am, but you never know. I feel like my reading always tends to kind of fall off once we hit the summer months, and then I'm spending fall trying to play catch up.
That's this spread all filled out. We will now turn over to the next page, which is my movie tracker page. It's a lot like my bookshelfie, only instead of having cute little books, I just have little squares to represent all the movies. And this is enough space for 365 movies because my goal for 2026 is to watch a movie a day.
And just like my reading tracker, I have all the markers I use for filling out the spread marked with some washi tape. Each color also represents a specific star rating. I didn't include a color key because I usually think they kind of look ugly, but maybe I should make one and paste it to the front of the journal just for future reference. Also, I do want to clarify that when I say a movie a day, I do allow myself to double up or watch multiple movies a day. I just mean by the end of the year, I want to have watched 365 movies. I think my current count is somewhere over 190, so I'm currently on track. And I have a bit of a buffer right now just because, there's always that chance that towards the end of the year I might get kind of busy. I guess the main thing I wanted to accomplish with this goal was to make movies more a part of my everyday routine because I love movies and I feel like I wanted to prioritize them a bit more.
That is the movie tracker filled out for the month of May, we are now moving on to my series tracker. On one side, I have my book series. On the other side, I have my movie series. I didn't make any updates, I think, in any of them this month. However, I did start a new series. I left a little note for myself, so I am going to go ahead and add that here.
By now, you might have noticed that all of my headers are the same. I love using the same font and style for my headings throughout my journal. I think it just helps things feel more cohesive even across the different themes. I've tried both hand lettering and stamping in the past and found both to be really time consuming. So, part of wanting to make this journal easier to keep up with was determining how I could cut back on setup time. And just putting out the headings on sticker paper and cutting them out by hand has been so much faster.
The series tracker is now all up to date, so we will turn our page and move on. This is my TV show tracker and my anime tracker. It's pretty self explanatory. Every time I watch a season of a show or an anime, I color it in and then I also write the name of the show and what season I watched. I actually didn't watch any shows this month, so I don't have anything to update here, and we will just keep moving along. This page is my DNF page. I'm using it for both movies, books, TV shows, anything I decide I don't want to finish, I'm putting here. And my first two entries to my DNF page were actually both movies, both of which I gave a try and just didn't like or couldn't get into at the time. I might come back to them in the future, who knows. I actually have my first book DNF, so I made the little cover and I printed it out on sticker paper. I'm just going to add that in. I'm not usually a huge DNFer when it comes to books. I feel like I know my taste pretty well. However, Cruelty Free was one of those books that had a cool cover, cool concept. I was not into it. I could rant about how much I did not like this book. I got about like 30% into it, I think. My next page is my unfinished TV show page. On this page, I have listed all of the TV shows I went into 2026 with that I hadn't finished. So I probably watched at least a couple episodes of them and just never got around to finishing them. I listed them all here. So far, only one of them I've actually finished. We shall see if I get to any of the other ones. If not, I'm just going to probably DNF them and add them to my DNF page because I kind of want to go into 2027 without a bunch of shows lingering over me. And some of these I just don't have an interest in getting back to. Continuing on, our next page is the favorite tropes bingo page. This is just like a fun little bingo board I made for myself. I'm not taking it too seriously. Basically, if I read any of my favorite tropes, I'm filling it in with the book that corresponds. As you can tell, I'm going into June having this mostly filled out, and I actually have two more to update for today.
The stickers I use to make the header on this page come from the Ransom Note sticker book. I use it a few times throughout the journal just when I want to add a more fun or artistic element but don't really have a lot of space for washi tape or stickers. And I know that this bingo board is technically not a true bingo board since it's a 4x4. I wish I would have gone a little smaller just so I could have fit more onto the page. I do try a few different styles for bingo boards throughout the journal, but this one's one of my favorite setups.
I'm so close to blocking out this board. I only have one more left, and I think I'm going to be reading a book this month that will fill this prompt for me. Moving along, my next spread is my 5-star read spread. Pretty self explanatory. Anytime I rate a book 5 stars, I place it onto here. I have a few updates, so I will do that real quick. For the month of May, I had two 5-star reads. I had Tomi by Junji Ito, and then I had M is for Monster by Talia Dutton. My next page, you're never going to guess this, is my 5-star movies. I actually have a lot to update on this spread because I was rewatching a bunch of my favorite movies this last month. So I had a lot of 5 stars. And I have been counting rewatches on here. I don't know if I should have done that and only put in 5 stars that I watched in the year 2026. But I kind of like seeing, oh, here are the favorite movies I watched this year. And if I run out of room, I can always add in a little tip in here. And those are all my 5-star movies for May. I had Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and The Grand Budapest Hotel, both of which were rewatches. I watched for the first time The Talented Mr. Ripley, and I went into theaters to see Obsession. I also rewatched Tangled and The Substance. The next spread is book genres. So every time I read a book that falls into any of these genres, I just mark off a line here with my Tombow. I chose my most common genres, or the ones that I like reading the most. Some of them I don't read a ton from, like short stories or memoirs, but I do have all of my stats in my story graph, so I will go ahead, pull those up, and start filling this out.
I'm actually kind of surprised that I've read as much fantasy as I have this year. I'm definitely more of a horror thriller reader, but with the summer being here, I don't know. I'm kind of itching to read a romance. I'm thinking something like fantasy and gay. I've tried out a few audiobooks recently that kind of fit that criteria, but nothing really caught my attention. So, yeah, if you have any fun queer romantasy recs, I'd love to hear them. It's just not my genre at all, but I do want to find one that I really like because I feel like that would be so fun.
As you can see, I've completely run out of space for tracking manga and graphic novels. I really didn't know how much space to give me, so I think next year I'll probably do less of a header and give me more space to fill in. I would also love to see some other ideas for what a book genre tracker can look like. I just read a lot of my favorite genres, so a lot of the trackers I see don't really work for what I want it to do, but maybe I need to look up some new inspo ideas because I'm also really close to filling up my horror and fantasy tracker as well. Maybe what I'll do at the end of the year is just go and mark in how many books I read that fall into each genre. So that way, even if it's not represented with the color, at least it's represented with that number. The next page is the exact same, but for movie genres. And unlike my book tracker, I don't just do the whole line, I just do a little square. I pull all of my stats from Letterbox, so I will go ahead and get this filled out.
When it comes to filling out these genre trackers, I just go based off of whatever it's listed as online. And in some cases, that means that there's multiple genres for a movie or a book. In that case, I just fill out the square in the respective column for each genre that it has. I really love the pigeon stickers I used on this page. I wasn't sure at first when I made this layout if I would like it, but it's really grown on me. I'm just such a fan of color and using all the fun stationery I collect. I have so much respect for those journals that are all one theme and super cohesive and beautiful, but I think part of falling in love with journaling for me was just embracing the idea that every page could be its own theme. It's a little chaotic, but it just feels so me and personal. I definitely want to work on expanding my Tombow marker collection as well as my washi tape collection because I realized recently I have almost no green washi tapes and I have almost no blue Tombows, and I feel like that's just a little limiting for the amount of colorful stickers that I have.
And as you can see in my movie genre tracker, even though I'm only doing a square, I am really close to filling up some of these. So I don't know. Next year I might need to rethink this, but for now it's going to work. This is my 26 in 2026. I decided I didn't want to just do books because 26 books is a lot. Instead, I did 10 books, 10 movies, 5 TV shows, and then one video game. I think putting TV shows on here was a bit of a mistake since I don't watch a ton of TV, but I don't think I have anything to update for this month, at least on this tracker. So I will go ahead and move on. This spread here is my new releases spread. Originally, I was going to use this to also track movie releases. However, so many movies come out every year, and there's a lot that I want to see, and it's hard to keep track of, especially like, oh, is this actually going to be playing in a theater in my area? So instead, I made an Excel spreadsheet for that, and I track it there. This is purely for books at this point. I wish that I would have had it separated by month since it is kind of hard to see with all these numbers here. Oh, what's actually coming out this month? What's already came out that I could potentially place on hold at my library? I have found the spread functional ish. I think I'm going to redo it for next year, definitely. This is my then and now spread. So I had a list of questions. I answer them on this side at the beginning of the year. Then at the end of the year, I will go ahead and answer them again over here. I wish that I would have put this at the very beginning of my journal. I feel like that's more of where it belongs. For some reason, I just added it in here. When I was setting up this journal, I kind of just made spreads as I felt like it without much thought. And I think in the future, I want to be more intentional about how I have things laid out. The next pages are for my physical TBR. I have all of the covers of all the books I own printed out. I have a little Dutch door here. And every time I finish a book on the list, I put a little check mark on it. I just print out the little check marks and cut them out of sticker paper. And I also don't have anything to update on this spread because I didn't read anything from my physical TBR last month. So we will just go on to the next spread. This is the Buzzword Reading Challenge spread. I loved the graphics that Kayla made for this challenge, so I just printed them off and used them here. I think in the future I would have loved to have actually decorated and made my own kind of theme, just because I think that it would have fit better with the rest of my journal. I've been doing pretty good on this challenge though, because I've done every single month so far, and I do have both of the May covers printed out, and I just put them on here. For May, the title prompt was make, so it had to include make, making, made. I chose to read I'm Still Here, Black Dignity in a World Made for Whiteness by Austin Channing Brown. For the cover challenge, the prompt was Border. I chose to read A Song for You and I by Kay O'Neill. This book had a beautiful gold border on it, so it counted for this prompt. The next page is another year-long reading challenge I'm participating in, and that is Horror Bingo. This is hosted by Wicked Reading, and it goes from the beginning of October to the end of September the following year. I don't have anything to update for this page, but I do need to work harder to completely black out this board because I want to have it filled out and done before the next board comes out. And I only have a few more months. This is my Watching the Decades challenge. Basically, I wanted to challenge myself to go through every decade and watch a movie from each year. I'm starting with the 1930s and then working my way. I plan to only probably do through the 1960s for this year, so I only gave myself enough room for those decades. And I do have stuff to add in for this one. For 1931, I watched M. For 1932, I watched Vampire. And for 1933, I watched The Invisible Man. This spread is now updated, so we will go on to our next page, which is the spread for my monthly nostalgia reread. This was a challenge I made for myself because I wanted to go back and revisit some of my childhood favorites. I just wanted to challenge myself to read one nostalgic read per month. This month, I decided to reread The Frog Prince. I actually really liked it. This is by E.D. Baker, and I remember loving her books so much as a kid. And this one actually kind of holds up. It's a fun, very fairy tale, good middle grade kind of book. My next spread is my monthly nonfiction spread. So similar to my last spread, I wanted to challenge myself to prioritize reading nonfiction every month. I've actually done pretty good because both April and May, I actually read 2 nonfictions. But the one that I will be adding to this spread is I'm Still Here, Black Dignity in a World Made for Whiteness by Austin Channing Brown. This spread is my wish list spread. So basically, anytime I want to buy a movie or a book, I write it down here. So when I'm out, maybe at thrift stores, secondhand stores, or even, splurging a little bit online, I have a list that I can kind of pull from. I don't buy too many books or movies, but I do want to get into buying more movies just because so many of the movies I love aren't streaming anywhere, and I want to start building a better physical media collection. This page is something that only probably I would have in my journal, but it is my Palia spread. I love the game Palia. I play it almost every single day. And I decided I wanted to kind of track, things that I want to buy, like my wish list items, because there are lots of cute outfits that you can buy for the game. And I kind of want to make sure that I'm buying ones that I actually want. And then over here, I have my unfinished accomplishments for the game. I've seen a lot of people do styles like this for their Animal Crossing or their Stardew Valley islands, and I just love that, so I wanted to include it in mine. I think for next year, I want to probably expand on this a little more, at least if I'm still playing Pelia as much as I am now. This page is my monthly favorites page. I have a little Dutch door here, so it has all the months. And rather than just having a book, I decided to also have book, movie, and other. So as you can see, other can be a game, like last month it was Tamagotchi Life, or it can be a TV show, which tends to be what it is. For this month, I have my 3 already picked out, so I will add those in here. My favorite book that I read during the month of May was Tomi by Junji Ito. I just love his style. I loved this book. I think Tomi's a great character. For a movie, I actually have a new movie that just came out, Obsession. I went and saw it in theaters, absolutely loved it. And finally, for other, since I didn't watch any TV shows or play very many video games because I was traveling a lot last month, I decided to include Backrooms. I watched the original short film before going to see the movie, and I loved it. I definitely want to watch all the Backrooms short films. This here is my monthly stats page. This side's for my movie stats, and then this side is for my book stats. As you can see, sometimes I mess up putting my stats in, so I just take a little piece of paper from a scrap journal or scrap pages that I've cut out. and I just tape them in to kind of cover it up. I do already have all of my stats figured out. I pull them from my Storygraph and my Letterbox and then go through and do all this. I tend to tag stuff pretty heavily on Letterbox and on like Storygraph, and that helps me pull this information. I'm going to start by updating my movie side. You'll notice that whenever I'm writing, I always kind of go on an angle. That's just because that's the angle that feels most natural for me to write. And I think for me, I really like to prioritize making sure my spreads look really nice and clean. So I try to write at the most comfortable angle possible. I also think that I need to use my really tiny micron because I think that's what I've written everything else in. For movies, I was down a little bit in May because, like I said, I was traveling. I only watched 28 movies. So I didn't watch a movie a day, but it's okay because I have enough extra movies from the rest of the months that it kind of evens out. I watched a total of 51 hours, well, 51.6 hours. I tend to stream a majority of my movies, so I streamed a total of 20 movies. I watched one movie on DVD that I own. I rented two DVDs from the library and watched those. I watched two on Canopy, which is the app my library provides with my library card that gives access to movies. I went to the theater 3 times, so I saw 3 movies, and I DNF'd 0 movies. I got through all the movies I watched this month. For books, I read a total of 19 books in the month of May. That was 5,574 pages. 4 of those books were on audio, 13 were print, 2 of them were digital ebooks. I DNF'd 1 book. I read 0 books from my TBR, and then 19 of the books that I read came from the library. And those are my monthly stats. I really love how all of this is laid out and how it works together. I think that it's really fun, and I definitely want to do this in my next journal as well. This is my monthly art page. I made myself a bingo board full of like different artsy challenges. I've been really struggling with artist block. For those of you who don't know, I am a full-time artist. That's what kind of my job. And I really haven't been drawing a bunch recently. As you can see in March, I literally had nothing to put there. And unfortunately, I don't have anything to put into May. I plan on getting a lot of work done in June, so I might just go through and add in some extra things into March and May just to kind of fill it up and kind of make this spread look at least a little bit full. I also am hoping that next month during July, I can prioritize doing some of my challenges on my bingo board, but this was really just more for fun. And if I get to it, I get to it. Unfortunately, I do have to prioritize the art I need to do for my work. This page is my craft page. I tend to do a lot of different crafts, and some of them are not quite completed, so I have them listed here. I did finish one, which was like a Lego set I bought. I put that in there. I do need to take a picture of it and add it and kind of write some little notes about it. But yeah, I'm really hoping that I can at least finish one of these unfinished projects this year. We'll see if that happens. I'm so horrible about starting craft projects and not finishing them. And this is where we get into my monthly dashboard layout spreads. I don't do reviews of individual books. I just found that that wasn't a style of journaling that was working for me. If I want to write a review for stuff, I tend to just do it typing on my computer and then just upload it to Storygraph or Letterbox. I'm just somebody who likes to really like think out my thoughts and like edit them a bit, so typing just works better for that. So instead, what I have here is I have my books. You'll see I have many little tabs. On this side's my movies. I have all the star ratings below. I also include spaces for TV shows, and you'll see how I include other pieces of media in here as well. I also like to keep a list of the movies that I've seen in theaters, as well as my TBR for all my monthly challenges. This is my February spread, and like I said, it is a good way if you want to see how I include a video game. I played No, I'm Not a Human in February, so I was able to squeeze it in here right above my TV shows. I love doing the monthly spreads as like different themes. It's just such a fun way to use all my different stickers that I collect. Like I said, I do a lot of art shows and things like that, so I constantly have the opportunity to buy little sticker sheets from small artists, and it's just so fun to actually be able to use those in my journal. This spread here was a pretty functional spread I made for when the Oscars were happening. The Oscars always happen in March. So I went through and found all the different ones that were nominated that I hadn't watched yet, wrote them down as far as where I could watch them as well. And yeah, I did a really good job. I think the only two I didn't get to were these two. as long with some that were sequels, because I'm like, I'm not going to watch a whole franchise of films just to complete the Oscars. Maybe I will next year. Maybe I'll be more motivated. I love my March spread. I think it's so cute, so pink. You can also see how I included a little block for Velmathon, which I participated in during March. I wish I would have done a whole spread. However, that challenge requires so much like calculating that the spreadsheet was just so much easier. And I think that's just really important for creating a journal is knowing what stuff belongs in a journal and what stuff might be more practical to have digitally. I think that's one of the beautiful things that technology and like art forms and journaling can all coexist. And I love using the tools available to me, such as Letterboxd, Storygraph, to keep track of things for me during the month. So that way at the end of the month, I can come through, make everything look pretty, and I have a nice little time capsule so I can kind of go back and see what was I doing in March. March was a pretty heavy reading month for me, so I actually ran out of space, so I included this little tip in here. And then over here has all of the movies I watched. I watched a lot of short films for the Oscars. I only completed the regular short film and then the animated short film categories. I didn't get to the nonfiction short films. So yeah, I was able to squeeze them in here and it kind of worked. Really cramped, but there's just a lot. And I really don't have enough pages to spare to give myself more space than just the 4 pages I allocated. This is my April spread, which I absolutely love. I love this little fishy sticker sheet I got, and I think it works so good with this washi tape. It's not even from the same artist. They were two separate artists at the same event, and it just works so well together. I love the way it looks. But once again, I played Tamagotchi Life quite a bit in April, so I included that here. And I just now realized I'm missing the little star rating for both the video game and the TV shows here. So I'm going to go ahead and add that now. For my star ratings, I used this little like stamp I made using a laser engraver. It's really not the best or the most accurate. I've gotten better with it, but I think I need to invest. Oh, you can see how smeared it is. Oh my goodness, that's so bad. I think I need to invest in a new stamp that works a little bit better, or at least allows me to see, maybe like a clear one. I think that would really be helpful. But we can see if I can try to get this centered here. And you know what? It's not perfect, but I kind of like that. It's a little fun. We will clean it up with my Micron, and I do have a little like white acrylic paint marker that I can use as well to clean up if I need to. Here I have all the movies I watched in April, and since I didn't watch a ton, I had enough room to do some decorating down here at the bottom. This is the spread I did for the Read Your Library Readathon. I participated in this in April, and basically the way this reading challenge worked is that there was the challenge card, which I have listed up here, and then I also wanted to complete the bingo board. I think I completed it hard mode. The only thing that went wrong was that I didn't finish Tommy in time. I ended up finishing that in May, so that's why it's in my May wrap up now, but I still added it. Technically didn't complete the challenge, but I think I did pretty well. And in order to kind of keep track of what books I was reading, since a lot of them I was doubling up for prompts, I also had listed underneath here what I was using for which prompt over here. It was really functional for while I was doing the challenge, but I think aesthetically it does look really busy. So if I do this again next year, I might rethink how my layout looks. Maybe I'll just do like a list of books instead of doing the covers. Because yeah, this was a really fun reading challenge and I love doing challenges that support my library. These are the two challenges I was working on during the month of May. One was the R Fantasy Bingo board. I'm currently working on a reading vlog for this, because I'm trying to complete the entire board using only graphic novels. That's part of the reason why I read so many books last month, was just because I was reading a lot of graphic novels, and those are pretty quick and easy for me to get through. For this bingo board, I wanted to do something a little bit different. So on the top, I have a place to put the different, covers once I completed it, and underneath I have the prompt that it's filling. I just thought that was kind of like a fun way to add a little interactive element and also see the prompts, because one thing that I don't like about bingo boards that I've done in other parts of my journal is when I put the covers on, it completely covers up the prompt. And this is up to date as of right now. I do have all the covers printed out for this, so that way as I'm reading throughout the month, I can just kind of pop them in here instead of doing it all at the end of the month. Over here is my spread for the Asian Readathon. This is hosted every May by Read with Cindy. For this year, all the prompts were kind of based off of K-pop Demon Hunters, so the prompts had very specific things that go along with it. I didn't write them all out, but it is included on her document that she provides. I like to use my ribbons that come in the journal to mark where my current ongoing challenges are, so that I can find it easily. And this here is my May dashboard. It is pretty empty, so that is what we are going to be working on today. You can see in this next page, I did already put in all of the different covers for the movies I watched. I haven't added my star ratings and my other like little rewatch symbols and such, so I will do that with you on camera. I just thought that it might be kind of boring to see me stick 28 covers. And since I didn't watch any TV shows during the month of May, I can actually use this side all for books. So I think that would be great because I have 19 books to squeeze into here.
Despite the fact that I do the same sort of setup each month, there's still a lot of trial and error that goes into getting things laid out. So while we watch me work on that, I thought it would be fun to talk a bit about the books I read this month. Of the 19 books I read, 15 of those were for my art fantasy graphic novel project. I'll be talking about them more in depth during that video, so I'll skip over them today. For the other 4 books I read, 2 of them were memoirs, one was horror, and the other was middle grade fantasy. The first memoir I read was I'm Still Here, Black Dignity in a World Made for Whiteness by Austin Channing Brown. I think if you're someone who has not read a lot of books about anti-racism or that cover the experience of BIPOC people, this is definitely a good place to get started. I'm always going to appreciate someone talking about their lived experience, especially since Austin is a black woman. I listened to this on audio and it was read by the author, which I love for memoirs. It just feels so intimate when the author is reading their own memoir. I was a bit surprised by how religious this book was, though. The author is Christian and very much wrote this book towards other Christians. I'm not religious myself, so that aspect of it was a bit lost on me. Overall, it was a good read, but it didn't really challenge me or teach me anything new, which is what I go to nonfiction for. The second memoir I read was Horse Barbie by Gina Rosero. This one I listened to on audio, and it was also read by the author. We follow Gina, who is from the Philippines. She's well known in the trans pageant scene and is basically famous for winning these competitions. She then moves to the US and decides to become a model and also decides to fully transition. At first, I was having some mixed feelings because the stories that she was telling were so outlandish and wild that they kind of seem unbelievable, except for the fact that she has like this pretty privilege and is able to get away with so many different things. But ultimately, I decided that I kind of love that. We don't often get to see trans girls just experience happiness and acceptance. So while yes, there's some sad stuff that Gina has to go through, I just loved reading about trans joy and just made me really love the book. The next book I have to talk about is The Frog Princess by E.D. Baker. This is a middle grade book that actually inspired Disney's The Princess and the Frog, and that just so happens to be my favorite Disney princess movie. But this book is just fun. We have a young princess who encounters a frog claiming to be a prince. She's eventually convinced to kiss him, but instead of him turning back into a human, it turns her into a frog. From there, it's just a journey of the two of them getting back to being humans. I love this dynamic between the two. It just made me feel so nostalgic. I remember reading this book right after I saw The Princess and the Frog for the first time when I was like 10 or 11. It really got me into fairy tale books during middle school, and I just have so much fondness and good memories associated with this book. The last book to talk about is Molka. This is a new release from Monica Kim, who wrote The Eyes Are the Best Part. I really enjoyed that book, but if I'm being honest, I think I liked Molka even more. Molka is a term used in Korea for spy cameras or hidden cameras. So we are following Jun Young, who works IT for a company, and he has this whole like giant system of hidden cameras which he uses to spy on the women who work in the building. He even has like video cameras inside of the bathrooms and stuff. So Jun Young becomes fixated on Dahae, who is one of the women who works in his office building. And Dahae is also one of our point of view characters. She's dealing with the loss of her sister, but she's also just started dating this really rich and super handsome guy. And from there, things just start to escalate and get more and more creepy. Maybe I'm kind of a sicko, but I do love following the point of view of like a really messed up person. So following Jun Young and seeing how he's stalking and being a total creep, I found it really fascinating. I definitely recommend checking this out. It's not too scary. It is like creepy, so if stuff like that bothers you, I would definitely avoid. But I just love the way that Monica Kim writes characters. I think they're super believable and realistic. We're almost done setting up my May spreads. This theme was a bit challenging. I loved the sticker sheet I chose, but I had to pull in some extra stickers just to help fill it out. Blue and green is not a color combo that I'm super good at, so it was nice to see everything come together.
And there we have my completed May spread. I haven't gone through and filled out all the star ratings yet. I figured I would do that off camera. If you're curious about my thoughts about any of the books or the movies, I will have my Storygraph and Letterbox link below. It takes a little bit of time and I am running low on daylight. And I do want to get my June spread at least started for the beginning of the month. So getting my header put in and my TBR and then a little place for me to track movies that I've gone to go see. There is one more spread in this journal. So I have space for June here. And then this spread is my Pride Month movie challenge. So me and my friend, we are trying to watch a queer movie every single day during the month of June. And I've been doing pretty good. I do need to update this a little bit. So yeah, I'm going to go back into voiceover mode and just get this all set up, hopefully before the sun sets.
When it comes to picking a theme, I usually just look at my sticker sheets and washi tapes and kind of put them together and pick whatever is speaking to me. I like to make little swatches on scrap paper. The swatch will have a piece of washi tape and some Tombow colors so I can put them next to the sticker sheet and just kind of make sure everything fits together. It's also useful for when I'm coming in at the end of the month, I can remember what colors I wanted to use. I decided to be a bit different this month and actually curve the corners of the boxes I make. I didn't do it quite perfectly, but I do like the effect that it has, and I think I want to try to incorporate more curved corners into more spreads in the future.
And that is my June page set up. I really love this sticker sheet. It's so cute, but it doesn't have enough little tiny ones. So I was kind of debating like cutting out these and using little stars. I just think the blue, it looks really cute for like the background, but when it's off the background, there's just not a lot of blue, and I feel like it just seems random. So I might find some little star stickers or something that could go in and fill some of the blank space. I still need to add like my actual TBR into here, and then I have already gone to go see Backrooms again this month. But yeah, that is the June setup. Not much for now, but next month, as you saw with my April setup, it fills out pretty quickly. Thank you so much for joining me as I updated my reading journal for the month. I hope that you enjoyed, maybe got some ideas. And if you are here till the end, I would love to hear what your journal spreads are, like the go tos that you have to have in your journal. I'd love to hear it. Are there some I'm missing? Maybe some ideas I can add in for next year? Let me know. And if you are enjoying this content, please subscribe. I plan on uploading more reading vlogs and watching vlogs this year. So I would really love to have you along for the journey. All right, bye.